Jason and Rachel, I love y'all. I hope you all are doing amazing today. I just want to say you both are incredible and thank you so much for these questions. Yeah.
Hey, she knows who we are, Rachel.
Hey, Jason and Rachel, what's up? She does know who we are.
Let's get right into the latest Big Brother evictee, Britini.
Yes, Britini. Oh.
America voted. We gave Britini all this cash and she didn't use it. She just felt like she was so loved and safe. And then she walked right out the door.
This is a really tricky question because for me, I truly felt safe last week going into the veto derby, and America gave me the 100 BB bucks and I was almost positive that I wasn't going to use it. The only thing that was bringing me back and forth was the fact that Big D was also on the block. So I wanted to use it to save him. But when Kylan approached me with the deal, he was the one that initiated that deal offer with me. He had said in that conversation that he didn't think I was his target, the fact that he wanted to go to Final Five and further with me because of how objectively I play the game, and the fact that he was the one that initiated the deal. I felt safe. And to be honest with you, I trusted his word in the moment and I didn't feel like I needed to waste my BB bucks and I could bank them for the next week because I thought I'd be there. So for me, that was my decision-making going into it. I am forever grateful that America gave me those BB bucks. I just knew that I wanted to bank them for the roulette. Obviously I'm evicted, so I will not be playing in the roulette, but I don't regret the decision that I made because I knew at the end of the day, I was going to go through with that deal and I trusted myself on that. So had to go with my gut on that one.
Her gut was wrong.
Her gut was wrong. I hate that word.
Evicted.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, in Big Brother, we see this time and time again. You have to play all the cards you're dealt. You can't say, oh, I'm going to hold on to the veto because then you're, something happens, you're gone, or you can't hold on to your BB bucks because then you're going to, lose the opportunity to save yourself. We see this happen often. And I think people need to if I was her, I would have used the BB bucks. I would have, gone for it, gone for safety, gone for anything to save yourself, because Big Brother's all about saving yourself.
Yes. And one thing that I noticed is that she has a little catchphrase. So I got a small glass and some Skittles. This is the honest game. And you'll take two whenever we hear her, as we just did. Can we back that up? The little like.
And to be honest with you.
Okay, so it's out of your small glass. Take two. The honesty game is afoot.
To be honest.
Okay, so it felt like she was in a deal with Kai, or she thought she was in a deal with Kai. So we asked her, what's the deal with Kai?
Oh, give the dirt on Kylan. Where do we begin? To be honest with you, Kylan did accept the deal. And the reason I say that is this. It was very, very clear in the way that it happened. Kylan initiated that deal with me. I didn't even bring up having a deal with him because, to be honest with you guys, I didn't trust Kylan. You already put me on the block for a week. Why in the hell was I going to trust you? But when he wanted to initiate a deal with me, I was like, of course I'm going to take the deal. And he was like, what if you gave me 2 weeks of safety going forward? And he was like, what do you want on the end of the deal? And I was like, but I'm not the HOH. Do I get something on the end of the deal? And I was like, okay, just keep me safe this week. I'll keep you safe for the next 2. And we shook on that deal 3 different times. All cameras were on us. Y'all saw it. Everyone saw it. So he did accept the deal. All he wanted to do, though, the reason why he kept calling me the unpredictable variable is because he knows that I'm one of the only females in the house that can beat him. I'm also one of the only houseguests in the house that has beat Kylan. So for me, I think it was the fact that he was scared. He truly was, and he knew that I could beat him. He knew that he couldn't read me because I didn't trust him. And also, why would I trust you? The week before, you told me you were going to use the veto to save Sarah Beth and not me. So if you are calling me a close ally and you're not even going to save me with the veto, why in the world am I going to trust you and let my cards down with you? And then he even told me just the way that he acted last week was so telling, I believe, of his true colors. And for me, I really hope these aren't his true colors, but at least true colors in the game. The way that he reacted to me after I was nominated was something that I was truly not okay with. The fact that he apologized for basically throwing Big D, Ozzy, and I under the bus, saying that we couldn't win a veto and we suck. But then right after that told me that I better not campaign against him because if I campaign against him, he's going to campaign against me. Or the fact that he said that I had the lack of comprehension of our deal. Those are just rude comments that I'm not okay with in any way, shape, or form in life or in the game. So for me, when you make it personal and you just make it flat out rude, that's when I'm not okay with it. So for me, that was the hard part about last week. I think unpredictable variable is just code for I'm scared of you in this game. I know if I sit next to you in a final two, I'm not beating you in the end, which I knew everybody knew was true. So for me, that's why he felt like he had to get me out. And on a game level, I respect it, but I don't respect how you went about it.
All right, for the honesty game, we got two. So it's double and a double. By the end of this, we're getting some real honesty here. You know, if you keep this up at home, you're gonna be sick eating this much candy, Rachel.
Yeah. To be honest.
To be honest, what do you make of this?
I mean, I think she did what she had to do with Kylan, but it's not a surprise she's out of the house because maybe she was too honest, to be honest. You know? I mean, I think it's one of those things where I think, just thought she was so safe and that they would never get rid of her. And she, you know, to be honest, she really just didn't read the cards right in the house, and she just didn't read the house right.
And that's always a struggle as a player.
Yeah.
I think everybody's had to get this out a few more times.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, in this game, you make a lot of assumptions. There's a lot of paranoia in that house, and somebody reads it well, and other people just miss all of these signs. And sometimes it's not obvious. I am really impressed with Derek X. He's putting a lot of pieces together.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too late for his game. I'm getting nervous for him. I think it is interesting, Rachel, that we've seen as the weeks have passed on. We were a little concerned about Tiffany. She's seemingly laying low.
Yeah.
So inside the cookout, there are some ripples and some waves, but she is still a solid member in the cookout.
Yeah.
And I think some things have been forgotten. So we wanted to know from Britini what she thinks. Obviously has no idea about the cookout. She's the first member of the jury, so she won't know likely until other contestants come in and start revealing that in the jury house. But we wanted to know her take on all these other house guests and sort of who's playing well and who might be in trouble right now.
I definitely think that I would have loved to align with Xavier early on. The hard part about aligning with anyone in this game early on, though, was the fact that teams were in play for the first 4 weeks. So you were so close with your team that you really couldn't branch out unless you 100% knew that that person on an opposing team trusted you or you could trust them. So that was the hardest part about gauging that. And Xavier was someone who was very close to this team. He was always about the team. So for me, that was my hesitation in working closer with Xavier. But I would have wished that I would have done that. I really do. I really wish that I would have worked with Xavier closer. In terms of ranking people's gameplay, right now, that's really hard for me to do. The only person that I really can think that I'm ranking their gameplay high at the moment, I'm guessing, is Derek X. Because for me, Derek X was the only one that took a shot at a big move. He really got out a big threat in this house and said, you know what, Christian is my only really direct competition in comps. Used me on the block in order to do it. I won the veto. I came down. He went up. It was a perfect blindside. So for me, I respect Derek X for making a move that was big and scary to do, but it was a move. I also respect Xavier's game. I think he's playing a very low threat game where not a lot of people are looking at him for as big of a threat that he is. He did not need to drop from that wall. I promise you, I was looking right at him. He was fine on that wall. He could have stayed up there for another 10 minutes, but his gameplay was so good that he didn't even need to stay up. So for me, I think both of them are doing a fantastic job. And then I would say on the female side, I think Azah is doing a fabulous job playing a very under the radar, low game right now, but she's about to spark and I'm ready.
It's clear Britini loves Azah and the X's, Derek X and Xavier. And right now, I mean, it's interesting because there's trouble for both of the X-Men in this Big Brother house.
That's true. And it's funny though, I don't think she has her finger on like the alliances. Like she has no idea about the cookout. You can tell she has no idea about them. And I think that this cookout, I have to say, is a really impressive alliance. I think they're one of the better alliances we've seen in a long time. The way that they're able to stay together and just seemingly trust each other. I mean, genius. Like that's what it takes to go through as an alliance in Big Brother. Also, how nobody is really the wiser, which is really interesting. So now we do see, like we've seen Derek X, I think he's kind of catching on to it. But I don't think Claire and Sarah Beth know about the cookout yet. Have we seen them talk about it? We haven't seen them, so.
Not yet. And this is really impressive to have a group of this size and keeping it very, very quiet. I mean, a secret alliance, if you will, is in this Big Brother house in
I
the
love it.
cookout. And they've done such a good job of having a side player. I
Yeah.
think that there will be a moment here, and I don't know when that's going to be. But Britini was tied with Azah, as she said, and how much she loves her. But Azah doesn't have anybody that she has to really tell this to yet.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's interesting because when you brought that point up, I forgot about their side people, their side pieces. But it reminds me of the Brigade in season 12. And we saw in the Brigade, the people got jealous when like the guys in the main alliance didn't want Hayden to be aligned with Kristen, and they didn't want Matt and Regan to be so close. So they ended up having to kind of like get these players out, or kind of like try to get them to turn on the other people so that they had the boys were together. So the cookout's bigger, so it's going to be more difficult. I don't think Azah's going to spark. I think Britini is wrong about that. I think we're going to see Azah laying low for a few more weeks. I think
it's good for Azah's game to lay low, and I think
100%. She's
going to stay
safe.
solid with the cookout, and that I think will be really good for her, because there will be other players who either turn on the cookout and the cookout then goes after them to pounce, and that becomes an easy target for a week, or somebody decides that they like the person that they're playing with as that, you know, that arm of the cookout better than the cookout, and they know they need to be in a smaller alliance because the numbers have dwindled so much. And it's going to be really interesting, I think, in the next few weeks to see how this shapes up. Sometimes we don't even know what these players are thinking if we haven't heard it in the diary room or on a live feed camera. If it doesn't get somewhere in front of a microphone and a camera, we don't know what they're thinking. So that was one of the things that we put as a question to Britini. We said, tell America about your strategy. What were you doing in the Big Brother house? And here's what she told us.
In terms of my gameplay in the house, I definitely want to share those with y'all. I wanted to come into this game playing, obviously, a cutthroat, no holds barred game. But for me, that strategy changed once Frenchie's Funhouse went into effect first week, and that was no longer the game that I could play, because now we are associated with literally being the jokers of the house. So for me, my strategy shifted to now playing my game on the block, which is a really weird strategy to play in the house, and one that I wasn't expecting I was going to play, but I tried to use it in my advantage as much as possible. I was able to talk to anyone I wanted to, unsolicited, without explanation, interrupt any conversation I wanted to, because I was the one that was vulnerable that week. So for me, that was able to give me so much intel on where everyone's heads were at in the week, and also was able to set me up for the next week going forward. So for me, I tried using that to my absolute advantage. In terms of my gameplay, though, y'all know I'm not scared to take on anyone, and that's why I volunteered to go up on the block and during Derek X's HOH. I literally told him, look, you're not going to find a better pawn than me. He asked me who I would want to sit next to. I said, put me up against any king. Let's do this thing. And he said, I have a really big plan this week, and I basically want you to be my assistant assassin. And when I won the veto, your girl was the main assassin, because if I hadn't won the veto, Christian would have never gone up. So for me, what I want you to know about my gameplay was I was trying to play as fearless as possible when I was vulnerable, which is a really tricky situation to be in. For me, that's why I used the block to my advantage. Me going up as a pawn was the only reason why Christian was able to go up in my spot. And I knew that I had to win that veto in order for our plan to be executed correctly, but I was the assassin as well in that plan, and I wasn't even HOH. I was on the block and vulnerable. So for me, that's how I was using it to my advantage. Being on the block and being in the most vulnerable spot in the house, in the center of the attention, can bring you some life in this game, because people have to pay attention to you because they're voting to keep you or not. It also let me see a lot of true colors being on the block. Let me see a lot of true relationships and people that I would want to work with in the house and not want to work with in the house. So in conclusion, played a fearless game, but also had to play a reserved game at the same time. Not reserved, but I would just say a different game, because I was on the block and vulnerable. So I tried using the block to my advantage, but when I got those opportunities to be fearless, I mean, I took out Christian. So like, sign me the hell up. I'm not afraid of anybody in that house, and y'all know that.
I love her take on it. I think
she thought she was this assassin in there, and she's behind Christian's eviction and all this stuff.
She thought what she was doing was like for the team, but she wasn't part of the team. So I think that's where she really just kind of messed up with her strategy.
It will be interesting when everybody starts coming into the jury house and they can give her a little bit of insight about what was really happening. I think being on the block so many times really lulled her into a false sense of security, which is why she didn't take this money from America.
100%.
Didn't use it last week in that twist to try and save herself. So then we wanted to know, hey, who do you hope comes right behind you into the jury house? This is fun.
We all know her answer.
Oh, I would love Sarah Beth and Kylan to join me next in jury. But to be honest with you, I also kind of want Alyssa to join me next in jury, because Alyssa told me flat out, she was probably the most honest with me before my eviction. Alyssa told me out of all the females in the house, she could beat every female in a final two except for me. And I would damn well agree with her, because anyone sitting next to me in a final two, if I were to make it with my underdog story, was not winning against me. So I knew that was the reason why everyone was scared of me. Everyone knew that I was a threat. Everyone saw me shake my neck way faster than probably humanly possible in this world. Don't really know how I did that to this moment, but we just went in a different universe. Okay. That's all I can say for that one. But everyone got scared of me last week because they realized that I can win. And when I need to win, I will win. And so that's what I have to say about that. Alyssa, Sarah Beth, or Kylan, come on over to the jury house. It better not be Big D or Azza. I'll be pissed.
I think Azza's safe this week. But she has, again, no idea of how this has played out, that Sarah Beth is now in power and she is listening to Kai. So for this week, those two contestants are safe.
Yeah. So I wonder who Britini, besides Azza, I wonder who Britini thought she really had in her pocket, because we should have asked her that, because I'm thinking the way she talks is that it sounds like she just didn't have any allies except for Azza, right? So it sounds
Azza seems to be it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm wondering why she would want to see Alyssa in there if Alyssa was honest with her. I know why she wants to see Sarah Beth and Kylan. She's so mad at them. Mm-hmm. But she's not going to see Kylan. Kylan, I predict final four. I think Kylan could win. Tiffany, I predict final four. I predict also final four and Derek F. I think Derek F is going to make it to final four. I think they'll get rid of Xavier first out of their group.
I think he will be considered inside the cookout one of the bigger threats, harder to beat at the end. I agree with that. I think the trouble for Derek F is just because he has become a pawn, he's going to end up on the block one of the weeks where they're like, ooh, got to vote him out. Sorry, you were a pawn. Because as much as people tell a pawn, it's fine, you're cool, everything's great, you're a pawn. To be honest,
right? To be honest,
these weeks you're going home.
You gotta drink. You gotta take them all if you're doing the Skittles.
Okay, well, after this interview with Britini, it is. It's just after all the ones in there.
Oh gosh,
and make you feel horrible. That's what we learned from this game. Special thanks to Britini for doing that great interview with us. It was fun to get a little insight in the game. And as always, Rachel, we want people to subscribe to this. Go to our YouTube channel and make sure you turn on the notifications so you know when we upload another video like this. And we'll see you next time for the Secret Alliance.
Would I ever play Big Brother again? Absolutely. I love this game, and it's been my dream to play this game ever since I was 18. I would absolutely play this game again. It was so much fun. Now, mind you, I say that and I was also on the block, so many of you are probably like, what is she talking about? It was so fun. I love competing in comps. I'm a competitor. Y'all know this. But for me, what was the first part of this question? I totally forgot the first part.